Lease option tax deed. Hi, welcome back. I'm Ted Thomas, and I've been involved in the tax lien and deed business for 25 years. And I'm going to give you some real insight today. We're going to talk about lease option tax deed. Now, this episode is going to be kind of exciting for you because when I say lease option tax deed, that opens up a whole new world of money-making opportunities. So you are definitely in the right place. Now, if you want to buy tax defaulted property at auction, you're trying to be a bargain hunter. And that's what this business is. You're a bargain hunter trying to get a property for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar. Now, we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to talk about the big mistakes that I want you to avoid at tax auctions. And it doesn't matter whether you're a newcomer or whether you're experienced, people make this mistake every day and they lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. So stay tuned. I'm going to be right back. All right, well, first of all, let's figure out this tax deed thing first. And the lease option thing, I'll just attach to it. And you'll see it's another way to make money that the average guy out there doesn't even know about. But this could be your ticket to being a millionaire, that's for sure. So tax deed buying is really bargain hunting, as I've said. Now, how do we end up with tax deeds? We ended up with tax deeds because many people don't pay their tax. Now, when they don't pay the tax, in half of the states, what they're going to do is they're going to confiscate that property. They're going to seize it and they're going to confiscate it. And the treasurer does that. And once the treasurer has confiscated the property, then they wipe out the mortgage. Now, they don't tear it up, but they wipe it off the property. And then they put it out for auction. And when they put it out for auction, the revenue from that auction is going to pay for the county's bills. All right, so that's a good thing for the county. So when you go to one of these auctions or you're in the tax lien and deed business, you're helping your local county. And when you're doing tax liens, you're even helping the homeowner. So in this case, we're going to talk about lease option tax deed. All right, so now you go to this auction. When you buy at the auction, you want to buy for 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. You can pay more than that, but let's take a $100,000 property. If you got it for 30 cents, well, you got a lot of margin between 30 cents on the dollar and 100 cents on the dollar. Now, the counties do maybe one auction a year in the small counties. The big counties might do more than that, but they can do as many as they want, but they're authorized to do at least one. And when they do that one, you want to be there, if nothing else, just to be an observer. All right. Now, the counties that do one auction, they want to get that money in quickly, and then they want to pay all the county's bills with it. The counties that have a lot of properties and a lot of money, they wait until do one great big one every year. Now, here's how the process works. First of all, the legislature tells the treasurer at the county, you must collect taxes. So the treasurer sends out bills. Then after they send the bill out, they collect the taxes. And then after that, if people don't pay, they confiscate the property. So that's how that system works. All right, but what about you? Well, you want to know how you're going to make money. Here's how you're going to make money. There's 3,000 counties in the United States. Half of them sell tax liens right away. The other half sell tax deeds. All right, so let's learn about this lease option tax deed. So the property is sold to the highest bidder. So don't go down there and spend 90 cents on 100. Don't spend 90%. Try to get it at 20 or 30 cents on the dollar. So how does a lease option work? Well, this is where you make the big money. Obviously, if you could buy a property for 30 cents on the dollar, if you followed my system, I would say, buy it for 30 cents, sell it for 50 cents, and get rid of it. Now you get your cash flowing. Now, most of my clients want cash flow. But if you already have money, this could be a big gold mine for you. Because if you could buy it for 30 cents on the dollar, you could sell it for 100 cents on the dollar if you offered financing. Why? Because there's thousands of people. Now, some people tell me 25, even 30% of all the people who want to get a mortgage don't qualify at a bank. Now, why don't they qualify at the bank? Well, there's a thing called credit scores, and you've all heard that. If they don't have a good credit score, the bank says, no way, we don't want you, right? What if you just got a divorce? Well, nobody wants you then, right? You can't get any money. What if you had been through a bankruptcy? Nobody wanted you. None of these banks, none of these institutions want you. So what if you were the seller and you could sell with financing? Well, that would change the whole ballgame. Now, I have one client that works with me, now became a coach. He bought, doing just what I'm going to tell you about right now, he bought the properties and sold them with a contract, and he did 60 properties in 60 months. Think about that. And he doesn't have a worry in the world. He's getting checks for all these properties now. All right, so how does this lease option tax deed work? Well, you bought a tax deed, you got a bargain. All right, if you bought it for 30 cents on the dollar, there's a lot of difference between 30 cents on the dollar and 100 cents on the dollar. But when you sell, you could sell it for 100 cents on the dollar and just offer financing. All right, when you offer financing, that's nothing more than saying, all right, I'll lease the property to you. Some people call it a rent to own. All right, so do a lease option, do a lease, and give them an option to buy it if they have good credit and they keep paying you on time. So it's nothing more than an installment sale. Now, look, you've been buying refrigerators that way. You bought your first car that way. You pay off your bills that way. Installment contracts have been around for decades. That's all the bank does is make an installment contract. But they only want the good people at the bank. So some of us aren't good if we've been through a divorce. Now, that doesn't mean we're not good for forever. It just means for a few months we have bad credit. Or maybe someone ran up the credit card bills and didn't pay them. People that don't have good credit need help. And that's about 25% of the market. So you could buy the property at a low price at an auction, at a tax deed auction, but you could still sell it at the high price if you wanted to and get payments on the full amount. So you can get payments on 100% of the money. Happens all day. Now, people have been doing cars this way. They've been doing houses this way. It's just normal. That's an installment sale. So some people call it a lease option. Now, what's the option got to do with it? Well, if you did a rent to own, it would be the same kind of thing. The option says, I will buy this house in so many months if I want to, or I'll buy it in 5 years if I want to. You could have whatever you want in the option. It gives you the option to say, yes, I want to, or no, I don't want to. So it's not anything that holds you back. It's a wonderful way for the seller to make big payments, and it's a wonderful way for the buyer to get in business. Now, otherwise, if you've got bad credit, what are you going to do if you have a house? If you've got 2 kids with you, 3 kids, you want a house, and you can afford some down, and you can afford some payments, well, this is a perfect way to do business. So lease option tax deed is a very, very viable business. All right, if you got good income, you don't have any problem. If you don't have good income, this is going to be a struggle for you. But there's lots of people that have good income that can't buy a house. Why? Because they were divorced, because they had a small business owner. Whatever it was, they couldn't do it. So the installment sale with an option to buy works perfect. So as soon as I say installment sale and an option to buy it, you completely understand it, I'm sure. All right, so this solves a problem for a lot of people. Now let me give you an example. I'll put some pictures in here and show you. A couple came to me, I taught them how to do it. They bought a property at a tax auction, okay? They bought the property for $8,000. It was worth much more than that. It was worth about 40 or 50. But they bought it for $8,000. They cleaned it up, they tidied it up, spent about $4,000. So now they had $12,000 total dollars out of their pocket. And what did they do? Well, they sold it on what we just called it, tax sale lease option. So they told the people, you can buy the property on a contract from me, and you can own the property starting right now. They gave them installments. All right, so the people were more than happy to move in that property because now they can move in, low price, in other words, monthly payment, just a little bit of down. Well, the couple that I taught how to do this, they invested $12,000, and over the period, they'll collect $52,000. So let me say that again. They invested $12,000, they sold it, and they will collect $52,000 over the next 10 years. That's $40,000 in profit. Just think about that. They put $12,000 in. They're going to get $4,000 every year for the next 10 years. Think about what's going to happen. They're making like a 40% return, and they're making big money right away. And you could be doing the same thing. And there's hundreds of these properties available. All right, now I'm going to tell you about some of the mistakes I want to make sure that you don't get involved with. But first, I'll do a couple of questions. Okay, now you can buy these contract for sale at the stationery store if you want, or you can get them from a local realtor, or you can get an attorney to do it. There's plenty of them. Most people say, just go to a title company. They'll be more than happy to provide you with a contract to help. Just say, I'm going to sell my own property, and I'm going to sell it with a contract, and they'll be happy to do that and say, well, do you want a payment contract, installment sale, okay? Rent to own, lease option, whatever it is. The title companies have those, so they'll be a little less than an attorney. I'm not negative on the attorneys, but it drags out, Okay, it drags out. Title company can do all the work for you. It's no problem at all. Okay, people say, how long should the contract be? Well, the shorter, the better. I mean, you don't want to do a 30-year contract. Well, look at me, 30 years, I won't even be here. But the point is, I do 10-year contracts all day long. I have contracts where I sell the property quickly because people want it, and I get payments for as long as I want, and then if they want to take it over, then I can just let someone else do all the collections for me. So you don't even have to do the collections. Believe me, people will pay you because they can't go anywhere else and get a All right, so I'm all finished up for today, but I do want to give you a gift before I leave. And if you've learned a lot on this and you want to learn more, well, I'm here all the time. I want you to be a client, so why don't you belong to my community, and you can just register below. And when I finish, it'll be right below me. You can register, and I have a free gift, a GIFT gift, and it's a quick start program that'll teach you the secrets of tax lien certificates and show you how to make the big profits in tax defaulted property. Those are called tax deeds. So just register below. I'm Ted Thomas.